So today we are going to try simultaneous translation. You're getting it? So yesterday we talked a little bit about the Guru, the Lama, out of the three roots. And so just now I received the question. And this is, I think, important question. It is often said that if you see your teacher as a Buddha, then you become a Buddha. If you see your teacher as a great scholar, you become a scholar. If you see your teacher as a stupid person, you become a stupid person. So, how is that? Because yesterday I said that really see your teacher or a Lama as a Buddha is like the, like the ultimate kind of when you actually have some experience and realization. So this is also correct. What I just the question is because as we talked about, maybe not yesterday, but the day before, blessing is not something that Buddha has to give. Blessing is something that we receive. So therefore, receiving the blessing is not necessarily that, whether it's from Lama or whether it's from Yidam or that's from, Kando or Chishong, or even from like all kind of representations, like sometimes we make a statue and we make a statue of a Buddha or a Yidam or a Lama, things like that. And then we kind of bless that. We sometimes kind of request the wisdom samaya to come and enter into that statue, and then we kind of try to receive blessings from there. We also receive blessings from there. We can also visualize. This is a lot to do with Yidam maybe, but Lama, same thing. We do Guru Yoga, for instance. So when you do Guru Yoga, we kind of visualize the Guru, and then, we receive the blessings, and then we can receive the blessings. So blessing is not necessarily that it has to be given. So therefore, it's not nothing to. It's one of it's not necessary that that we cannot receive blessings unless that person from whom we try to receive influence, blessing, all these things is not really like a Buddha or completely enlightened being. That's very important, and also this is very important that the more we respect, the more we see positive qualities in others, the more we are positively influenced. Even and it is also very, very encouraged, and I think it's very important. I should have talked about this when we talked about Sangha, that we have this habit of seeing false and negative things in other people, and we don't have that much kind of habit to see and look for positive qualities. And if we look for positive qualities, we will also find positive qualities. If we look for negative things, we also see negative things. The story of these three fathers, I told many times, so I think no. It's not a Buddhist story, it's a Christian story, kind of, but I think it's a very important story. I have another story that I would like to share with you. This story is that, there was one person, and this person has lots of problems. One problem, two problem, three problem, four problem, 5, 6, 7, 8, many problems. And so therefore he's very, very unhappy and very, very, in a very bad shape, lots of negative things. And he's very, very unhappy because he has lots of problems. And then one day, a kind of a great person came to this area. And one of his friends came and said, there's this very kind of supposed to be, very wise man has come here. Why don't you go and try to ask some questions, some advice, because he's supposed to be very, very wise. He said, but I have so many problems, and who can solve all these problems? Nobody can solve these problems. So there's no use saying, however wise he or she is, it doesn't really make difference. But he said, why not just see him? Because, you cannot lose anything. So he said, yes. And then he went to see this wise man. And then he met this wise man and he asked, I have so many problems. I have this problem, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, all these problems. And therefore I'm very upset and I'm sad and I'm unhappy. Can you give me some advice how to solve these problems? Then this wise man said, can you see colors? And he was kind of a little bit annoyed, He has so many problems. He's wanting to solve these problems. And he says, can you see colors? Of course, I can see colors. I can, I have my eyes. Then he gave another question, which was kind of silly. He said, in my room, there are many red things. He said, yes, I can see it. How many red things I have in my room? So he looked around, counted them, and says, yeah, you have 9, 10, I don't know what, red things in your room. I can see them. That's not a problem. But why do you ask this silly question? Then he said, I also have blue things in my room. He said, why not? Don't count, but tell me, how many blue things do I have in my room? He says, I don't know. I didn't look. How can I say when I didn't look? He says, exactly. You are always looking at your problems. So therefore you are seeing all your problems. You looked at the red color in my room and you said these are, but you didn't look at the blue, so you don't know how many blue things I have in my room. So you go back and look at what good things you have in your life. And then come back tomorrow. He went back, and next morning he came back and said, it's strange, I never looked at my good things before. It's true that I have also lots of nice, positive, good things. But somehow I was so involved in, feeling these negative problems and things like that, that I didn't look. But when I really look, there are lots of good things in my life also. He says, that's how it is, That's how we are, We need to look at our positive things also. And so if we look our positive things, or if we look at others' positive things, positive qualities, then we will see them also. And although you may not be able to completely, solve all your problems, if you see, your positive things also in life, that can kind of little bit balance, and you would not feel that bad, that unhappy, that, So he said, that's true. He already started to smile. And, so like that, and we look the positive qualities, then we will see positive qualities. And that's maybe also one reason why, it is suggested that you examine your teacher and, anybody like Sangha members also, and try to look at their positive qualities also. Because the more you look at the positive qualities, you can also see positive qualities. And you see positive qualities, then you feel positive. And you are influenced by those qualities also. So this is, I think it's also, important. This is a very important part of the practice, I think. Yeah. So, talking about Yidam, the Sanskrit word for Yidam is Deva, sometimes Ishtadeva. Deva actually means like, I don't know, you can't say God. Like divine being or something like that. It has many different meanings. Deva can mean, in Sanskrit, Deva can mean also these 6 realms. In 6 realms, the Devaloka or the God's realm. The beings in the God's realm is also Deva. But this is not that kind of Deva. It's a kind of more Ishtadeva means the main divinity or the supreme or divinity. That's the Sanskrit word. The Tibetan word, sometimes Tibetan translations are more accurate than Sanskrit. Many times Tibetan words or although Sanskrit is the original language where the Dhamma is written, because when the Sanskrit is used, they used a language which was already in use. All the terms most of the terms were there already. So it had many different meanings. Of course, sometimes when it was used in the Buddhist term, it's a slightly different meaning than other meanings. But when it was translated into Tibetan, then these were, they made new terms, completely new terms. And these new terms only meant that particular, Buddhist term. So like Kunchok, Sangje, all this Gendun, like Buddha. The word Buddha is someone who has the knowledge, kind of both knowing. The word Buddha comes from both. Both means who knows, who has the understanding or knowledge or maybe wisdom also we can say. And Buddha is the one who has that, who has the body is Buddha. But in Tibetan, it is translated as Sangje. Sang is like awaken from the slumber of ignorance. And Je is like blossoming your wisdom and all the positive qualities. So Sangje, it is much more, exact meaning of the Buddha. Dharma is exactly the same, but Sangha, again, Sangha, the word Sangha in Sanskrit means, a community. It can also mean a political party, like the present, the Indian government, the party that is ruling India now is called, BJP, Bharatiya Janata Party, or Sangha, So the Sangha, maybe that's not the right example, but Jan Sangha, it was originally called the Jan Sangha. Jan Sangha, they changed it. Jan Sangha means the party of the people, kind of. Jan Sangha party. So, Sangha can mean a group or, but that is translated into Tibetan as Ge-nun, which is, Ge means Gewa, all the positive. Those who are in kind of, who are devoted or who are, whose minds are directed towards the positive side. It's a Ge-nun, things like that. So there are many like that. Anyway, so Yidam in Tibetan means that your mind is kind of the one that you kind of Yi comes from Yid, the mind, and Dam means that your mind is protected by or holding on to something like Yidam. So which means thing that which is your kind of where your main kind of center of your attention or center of your main practice, Yidam. So therefore, usually, we say Yidam. My Yidam is like Tara. My Yidam is like Statistic. My Yidam is Chakra Sambhara. My Yidam is, whatever those things, as if it is one deity. But actually, this is not, it's a little bit, it's in a way correct, but in a way not correct, because even like, if I say my Yidam is Tara, it's not just that kind of Buddha or Bodhisattva Tara. There's a Tara Tantra. So therefore, there is lots of all different kind of methods that that is given there to transform yourself. It's not just a kind of praying to a Bodhisattva or a Buddha called Tara. It's all sorts of, instructions and teachings and understandings that's taught in this Tara Tantra. You take that, Yidam means that becomes your practice, or that should be your practice. So therefore, it has many different things, like usually when we talk about Vajrayana or tantras or mantras or whatever you want to call it, it is said that there are four kind of special qualities which makes the tantras or the Vajrayana a little bit more special. First is it is said that in the tantras, say like in the Sarvakayana teachings, the Buddha gave, the teaching on Four Noble Truths and the Vinaya and Eightfold Path and things like that. But he didn't talk about Bodhisattva Yana. He didn't talk about bodhicitta. He didn't talk about how to become a bodhisattva. Although there it was mentioned again and again that the Buddha Shakyamuni, before he became Buddha, he was a bodhisattva. So there's lots of stories of what happened during when he was a bodhisattva. But it's not clearly and elaborately taught how to become a bodhisattva and what are the practices of bodhisattva. And in Mahayana level, in the Bodhisattvayana level, then that was very elaborately taught. And then later on, in the kind of third teachings, he taught more about Buddha nature. Buddha nature was mentioned when he taught about bodhisattvas, but not elaborated. So therefore, there are some teachings of the Buddha where certain kind of things were taught and not everything was taught. But in Vajrayana, everything was clearly taught and elaborated. So that's why Tenchi Nayo Mamongta. It's not kind of nothing or no section of the teachings were unexposed or was not taught. There's nothing. Everything was fully taught. That's why it's called the one reason in Vajrayana. And that also probably is one reason why it's quite difficult. If you try to understand tantras, it's not so easy because it's very, very many things, very, different teachings and different elements and things like that. Tenchi Nayo Mamoto. Tamang is many different skillful means. More, skillful means and methods in Vajrayana than in Sarvakayana and Bodhisattvayana. So therefore, more methods. Karamyapadam. Because there are lots of different methods, therefore, if you can understand and if you can practice rightly, then you can go through. You can purify yourself. You can get the result much more easily. So therefore, less difficulties to go through. Usually, it is said that in the Sutrayana, sometimes it is said that Buddha he kind of took 3 countless eons to become Buddha. And Vajrayana, it is sometimes said you can get it in 17 lifetimes, longest in 3 lifetimes, 7 lifetimes, or even in 1 lifetime, you can become enlightened. So therefore, Tamang Kawamem. But Ombu Nombu Onzip. But it is said it has to be the kind of the for the people who have a very sharp, high level of aptitude. So therefore, not necessarily for everybody. So therefore, that's so. So all these things are included, in the Yidam. Yidam is that practice. Yidam is not just, like a deity or, like a, what you can say, it's one figure or one enlightened Buddha or something like that, So therefore, Yidam is, so if somebody takes one of the Vajrayana practice as my Yidam, that means I try to take that, all the practices to do with that Tantra as my main practice. That's why Yidam. That's why sometimes, the kind of like Rinpotché and things like that, sometimes they say that my Yidam is bodhicitta. Instead, that's my main practice. That's my whole practice, So this is why it's coming from there, Yidam. So therefore, when you practice Yidam, then usually, like for instance, if you study like He Vajra, for instance, like Tantra of He Vajra is that kind of main Tantra that the Kajupas study, He Vajra Tantra. Although they can study other Tantras also, but that's the main Tantra. Guhe Samaj is the Tantra that Gelupas study. It's the main thing that Gelupas study is Guhe Samaj Tantra. Sakyapas also mainly is He Vajra Tantra. Gelupas, Nyingmapas is Same Nyingpo, Guhe Garbha Tantra. So things like that, there are also different, different schools of Buddhism kind of study this certain tantras more deeply and things like that. But say like if you study like Vajra Tantra, it also recommends that you study and practice not just those tantras, but study and practice from the beginning, like Sarvakayana, Bodhisattvayana, and then slowly, different levels of Tantra, and then finally the Anuttara Yoga Tantra. So it's kind of, so whole thing. So therefore, the practice of Yidam has to be a little bit much more elaborate than just kind of visualizing and saying mantra of a practice. At least you have to have these two sections. Of course, you have to, the practice of refuge, bodhicitta, and all the kind of things that prepare you for your month is there. And on top of that, then Kriya Yoga and, what do you call this? Creation and completion stage practices. And creation practices have this involved the visualizations and the kind of the Vajrayana is very much to do with Buddha nature. Vajrayana practice is very deeply about how to, awaken your Buddha nature. So therefore, it's different methods on how to do that. And, so when you practice one Yidam like Tara or anyone, then even if when you are visualizing yourself or Tara, you are not just kind of trying to think about another being, another person who is Tara, but your own kind of ultimate nature, natural state of being, which is Tara, which is all these positive qualities, enlightened qualities that you have. Try to awaken those, that's and try to experience that now. The creation is more of that. And because of that, then you have to understand and study the completion stage. And of course, different tantras have slightly different and many different type of things. But, the completion stage can be of very many stages, like completion stage can be, like what you call the completion stage kind of more we call it Senchi and Semi. Senchi means with some reference points or with some, kind of that you need to do something. And then Semi is the completion stage without reference points. The completion stage without reference points is more like Mahamudra and Dzogchen and things like that. The completion stage with reference points is more like, working on your Tsalung and Tigle. We have our body, and our body is made of Tsalung, Tile, these three things. Tsa is we call it channels, Its channels is like, our body is actually just channels, If you take out if you take out your skin, then you will find, lots of blue and red, things So that's that's the channel. You know, your body is made of all the where the, you know, and that's, you know, then the central channel, you know, different. It's kind of different. So it's your whole body is that, and so in these channels, the blood and all kind of energies has to kind of go run, oxygen and all kind of things, and there, you know, the different practices that will, you know, transform these channels, open these channels, and things like that, through meditation, through breathing exercises, through yogic exercises, channels, and then the lung is the breathing, and energy. So this, you know, different energies as to in your body, how this is, you know, worked on. And Tigli is, you know, it's kind of your consciousness, your mind. Like, you know, sometimes Tigli is referred to also. It's something that is your kind of body is totally, you know, the essence and essence and essence, the most essence of your blood. That gives your, you know, the body the energy and all kind of, this is the essence. This most central essence is called Tigli. And so it has a lot to do with, you know, our whether we can have a clear mind, or, you know, a strong mind, or has a lot to do with Tigli. So, you know, these things, it's quite complicated. So therefore, it's, you know, sometimes this kind of practices are mostly done in, you know, kind of long retreats and things like that, like Zalung and in the 6 yogas and things like that. But it is not something, it's not that you cannot do, but it is quite complicated. So all this is part of the Yidam practice, you know, part of the, and then of course, you know, there are two things, you know, usually when we talk about this Dzogrim. One is Tablam, and one is Tolam. Tablam is using the skillful means and methods. Tolam is using the path of liberation, or path of skillful means. The path of liberation, that's the completion stage of the highest tantras, is like Mahamudra, you know, where through transforming your mind and understanding, you know, the nature of your mind, your awareness, your seeing your, you know, kind of nature of your consciousness, a clear light. You transform your body. Tablam is through working on the body, on the Zalung, Tigli, etc. Then you also transform your mind in a kind of in a more what can you say? Not just by understanding and experiencing this, but using the. So that's why these two, and the method way is sometimes can be quite strong and, can give you strong results or, great experiences more quickly. But there's also lots of obstacles and can go wrong. And if you are not very strong, very determined, very devoted, and very kind of, you can have problems. The Tolam, or the liberation path, is usually do not have much obstacles, less obstacles. So therefore, it's mostly, most people, or most lamas, maybe you can say like that, prefer to teach the Tolam rather than the Tablam, because Tablam can sometimes have problem. So this, the Yidam, is, all those things, that the practice. So that's why it's the Dharma, it's the practice, So Dharma is therefore same as Yidam. Yidam and Dharma more or less same. It is said that when Buddha Sakyamuni was traveling and teaching, then he made a king called Indrabhuti. And this king Indrabhuti came to the Buddha and he received some teachings. And he said that, I like you. I like your teachings and all these things, the philosophy and everything. But I cannot do like you. I cannot walk barefoot and, sleep under the trees and, beg for the food. I cannot do that. Don't you have some way where I can still be in the palace, have my, retinue of queens and all other beings, and still get in line? And Buddha said, yes, I have. Then he taught him the Guhe Samaj Tantra. Guhe Samaj means secret society, kind of. Maybe that's not the right translation, but it's a little bit like that. And then he practiced together with all his courts. And all of them together became enlightened. So that's how this, tantras, is practices kind of started. And so, of course, there are different levels of tantras: Kriya Yoga, Kriya, Charya, Yoga, Anuttara Tantra, things like that. And they were like a little bit made to kind of look like different, the way the 4 different castes of India behave. So that, when you are practicing these tantras, nobody can tell you whether you are Buddhist or just an Indian citizen, that kind of. So this Kriya Yoga has all the rituals very similar to Brahmins. Charya, more like warrior class. Yoga, more like business class. And Anuttara Yoga, more like Shudras, the low castes. So this is a little bit like that. Anyway, this is, I think, not necessary to talk about, but Yidam is mainly the practices, the Tantra practices. That's Yidam. Then Dakini. Now this is also, usually when you say Dakini, people understand as females, because Dakini is a feminine word. But actually, if you kind of look into the Guru Yidam or Guru Lama Yidam and Kando Dakini, that is not necessarily only females. Dakini in this, in this Kando is referred to as, Chini Tinkala. In the Ka is the space. Do means kind of goer, or one who, in the space of the nature of the Dhamma, Dhammata, in the space of Dhammata, who can go with the wisdom, with the kind of with the force of wisdom or something like that. So that's Kando, so Kando actually is basically those who have the experience of the Vajrayana. That's Kando. Like when you, in 7-line prayer, you say Korden Kando Mobukor. It's written in this, many Lamas have written this commentary also, that it's not just Guru Rinpoche has only female Kandos around him. He has female and male and all different kind of enlightened, Vidyadharas around him, not just only girls. So, but Kando here means, people or, beings who has the experience of the Dhamma, the experience of the, the experience of the liberation. So sometimes, you find that some teachings, they say it's like the warm breath of the Dakini, meaning that that has the kind of real experience, a kind of living experience of experience of kind of realization. So that's why they say like that. So Kando is usually, that's why Kando actually means enlightened, kind of practitioners or Sangha, liberated Sangha. But the word Dakini in Sanskrit is not only that. And the word Dakini in Sanskrit can mean different things. Sometimes it can also mean witches. So if in India, if you go to India and if you tell some girl, some lady, you are Dakini, they'll be really upset. They think that you are accusing them to be a witch, So don't say that. To the Tibetan, if you say you are Kando, they will feel good. But in Indian, if you say you are Dakini, they feel very bad. So it's a little bit like that. So, you know, there are different kind of Dakinis also, different type of Dakinis. Maybe we don't go into that. But sometimes, you know, people also try to explain that, you know, the Lama, Yidam, and Khandro, and then they kind of include Khandro with the Dhammapalas, you know, the protectors. So, you know, this, so Dhammapalas are kind of somehow put together with the Khandro. And this is something which, you know, I'm sure it was there in India. Yes, it was there in India also. And there are lots of, you know, Dhammapalas. The enlightened Dhammapalas are there, like, and then worldly Dhammapalas are also there. Enlightened Dhammapalas are kind of, you know, Buddhas or very high level bodhisattvas kind of take the form of protectors, different forms, and then they kind of promise to protect the Dharma and Dharma protection practitioners and things like that, and that becomes the Dhammakala, like Mahakala and things like that. Then worldly Dhammapalas are those, you know, are the, what can you say? Those kind of spirits, maybe mostly very strong spirits, who are kind of subdued and, you know, under the control of these enlightened Dhammapalas. So they are the, you know, the worldly Dhammapalas. So usually, you know, worldly Dhammapalas are a little bit not like Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, you know. Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they only can bless you. They don't punish you. You know, they never. But worldly Dhammapalas can be also annoyed sometimes. That's one of the things. So I don't think I should talk too much more. I don't know. I might have missed some important points, but doesn't matter. Any questions you have, you're most welcome.
A friend recently, she told me that she thought that when something very negative happens, then the consciousness is very intensely impacted, and she thought maybe it's more than something which is positive. Maybe it's more impacted than when we have something positive happening. And I answer her, maybe it's because we are not used to it, I don't know, but I said I will ask you, so I was wondering.
No, I didn't understand. Some negative thing.
She thought when something very negative is happening, then the consciousness is very strongly affected. And maybe then she thought we need really to avoid it and to concentrate on positive things. And she thought the positive things maybe are not so strong. So I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, that is that's true. if negative things, there's negative influence, there's negative, more negative, then it influences, it influences everybody. And if they're positive, it influences also. But the negative is more easily influencing us because we have thoughts of negativity. Yeah. If we have more positive, maybe positive influence becomes very effective or very strong. But if you have more negative, then negative becomes, because, we already have a lot. And so a little bit negative can make it more functional, no? And this is something which, which is, I think, also quite obvious, no? When we talk about like the degenerate time and things like that, it's because most of the people's kind of negative emotions become very raw, and very, strong. So therefore, very easily it's aroused. So then you have to do a little bit negative influence and everybody becomes excited about that. But even if, if somebody says, if somebody wants to make all of you very angry and upset, it's easy. But if all of you want to be, feel very, very compassionate, it's not easy, no? It's like that, So, yeah, it's like that.
And from the Buddhist point of view about the mind itself, like from almost like scientific point of view, if it's the same, right? Like the positive or the negative impact, it's exactly the same on the consciousness. There is, or maybe positive is stronger, or I don't know.
Well, this is like this. If you have, if your mind is, if you have complete, if your mind is very settled, if your mind is completely calm, and if you have complete wisdom, very clear wisdom, then you are not influenced with negativity so easily. But most of us are not like that. We are very samsaric. Our negative side is very raw, very strong. Then we can be very easily negative influenced.
So I think that since we are very samsaric beings, sometimes we have to learn the tough way.
We have to?
We have to learn the hard way. I mean, to receive lessons, life lessons, in a way that can be seen as hard way, tough way, but you can learn from those experiences. And some people say that certain deities can interfere in that process of learning the hard way.
Now, this is, I think, like this, so we are samsaric, samsaric state of mind. And when we have samsaric state of mind, we have lots of negative side, and we react in the samsaric way, aversion, attachment, and all these things. Now, how we learn? We don't need to be negative to learn, We can learn by being positive also, yeah. But, we are more negative. And if we, of course, if we learn from negative to be positive, that is okay. But most of the time, by being negative, we learn less. We become more negative and act in that way, like, for instance, I am, samsaric, so I have, hatred, anger, all kind of things. So if somebody says something not so nice to me, I get angry, I get, I hate that person. I go and beat him up, and then he and his friends come and beat me up, and then my friends go and fight back, and then there's war. And we can have a war, big war, kill each other, and then, we don't learn anything. Next time, again, we do the same. Yeah. But if somebody said something not so nice to me, and if I could, be a little bit patient and do not react in the same way, and then his anger is kind of finished because I didn't say too much, then, there is no continuous thing. And so therefore, I can also become friend to them, slowly. So therefore, what is that? Huh? Oh, there are many questions, yeah? Okay, say like that. So there's... There are 2 questions?
Yes, Palben and Genevieve.
Okay.
Rinpoche, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, wonderful. I'm just wondering, is it possible to have more than one Yidam to do different sadhanas for different aspects of our Buddha nature, or do we have to have one main Yidam?
No, people have sometimes many Yidams, but usually, Yidam is your main practice. You take one, and that's kind of enough. Yeah? It's not necessary to have many Yidams, but you can study many Yidams also. The Tibetans have many. They say, many lamas say that in India they had only one Yidam, so therefore they become realized more. In Tibet they have too many Yidams, and so they don't get. That's what they say. I don't know.
Because in the London Sangha we do various different sadhanas.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. Actually, all sadhanas are same.
Yeah.
So you can do one sadhana, then another sadhana, and then this, because all are same. Yeah, it's not really different.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And then there's another one. What's his name?
Yeah, it's me. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
It's very loud.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh no, there's echoes. Yeah, now it will be better. regarding the various phases of the when you do the Yidam practice, how much do you have to learn how to do these phases properly, like the creation, the dissolution, and how much can you trust will come from doing the practice itself?
I think you have to really learn it, because it's not just dissolution. It's a completion stage is like very important. That's like Mahamudra and all these things, and which is very important, and it takes a long time to learn. You know, that's very important. You have to learn, otherwise you can't do. You know, just by receiving. Yes, important to receive empowerment, but really have to learn how to do it properly. And of course that's the simple one. Then if you want to do this, the complicated one, like like skillful means way, then it's even more. You have to learn really deeply and train step by step. Otherwise, it's not easy.
Devotion. What's the place of devotion in the Yidam practice?
In the Yidam practice, and in all practice, Yidam, devotion is very important, because devotion is, devotion is important in, devotion is basically inspiration, aspiration, and certainty. We have to learn it through devotion. No, first you have to have whether it's any practice or teaching or anything, you have to be inspired. If you are not inspired, you don't want to do the practice. So you have to have this kind of, and inspiration is like you feel that there is something, something useful, something good, something truthful, something that inspires you. That's the first devotion. Second is when you are inspired, then you have the aspiration. Then you want to actualize that. You want to do it, So that is the second one, aspiration. That's also devotion. And the third is certainty. That is like, then you really understand that practice, or that, whether it's Yidam, whether it's Dharma, whatever it is, then you understood, you have a certain kind of clarity and certainty, then that is called devotion. The real devotion is understanding. So same with, when you see, a Lama also, or, teacher also, if you have certainty, then that's the highest devotion. Yeah. So practice also.
Said that one of the qualities of Tantra is the many different methods to choose from. And you've also said that it's really important to learn correctly how to practice. But that means every learning is an investment, time and effort. So what is the best, or what is your advice to choose from the whole offer of different methods?
It's not really different things have too many different things. It's the same thing, more or less, how to do the things. But that you need to, understand how to do. It's not that, different sadhanas. There are certain, different methods maybe, but more or less it's about the same, And of course, the rituals may be different, but that's, I think, not so important. Like making dharma and, doing music and things could be different from one another, but those things are not, I don't know how that important. They're always, elaborate ones, then unelaborate, then very unelaborate, completely unelaborate. There are 4 different types for every practice, and there's 4 different rituals. So, I think the essence is the important. Yeah, essence is important. Okay, thank you. Tone niebe ganam pashi. Shega naji wala chuba. Sebe sole roa do. Rinpoché. Mashi panam jeju. Shiba nyamba meba. Komoni kondo pewa.